It's not just 20 minutes in the church and
once we discover that there's no death. You know what I mean? Best news ever.
It also gives you a purpose and a thought about, well, what am I doing here if this is going on forever? What am I supposed to do?
One day I'm going to go back. The stuff is going to come with me.
I know.
Start to clear it up, yeah?
Which is what my spiritualism is such a gift, because it gets rid of so much rubbish that you don't need to take back.
Exactly.
They got rid of them because they used to come over from the French colonies.
Hiya! You alright? Good evening, everybody. But you get any more spaced out.
Come on, give me the circle.
Welcome to an awareness night. The first Wednesday of each month here at Paul is dedicated to matters about spiritualism. Because we were just discussing this. Spiritualism is not just, I've got your mother here. Alright? Seriously. It is not about that. And in fact, once you have that evidence, once you have that cinching proof that life goes on, it can make the biggest difference ever to what we're living now. So we will keep on with this, won't we?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Lovely lady here. First time with us, so welcome to Paul Church.
Me. Thank you.
Lovely Sarah Deveral.
Hello everyone. Thank you for coming out on this sunny evening.
Yeah, staying at the pubs. Well done. Especially you. But as you can see, it's a very informal evening, a very laid-back evening. It is about your participation. You know, we're not delivering a dry, dusty lecture here. We're having a conversation. So if you have any questions, jump in with them. Jump in, because that's how we learn. I always say no question is daft if you don't know the answer. And nobody, how many questions have you asked?
Stacks, and I always ask the silly one, and everyone says it's not a silly one, it's a really, and none of us knew it. And sometimes it's the most obvious question.
Exactly.
Nobody likes to ask.
Yeah. So it's all about this empowerment and learning and progression within our wonderful movement of spiritualism. Tonight's topic, we're going to be talking about spiritual mentorships. Now, since 2020, with the explosion online of our work through mediums, philosophers, healers, etc., one phrase that's coming out quite a lot is talking about spiritual mentorships. And us English are very reserved, aren't we? You know, oh yes, I'm doing spiritual mentorship. What's that? Got no idea. I never asked. We do this. We pick up phrases and we repeat it on. So tonight, Sarah has been through her journey with the mentorships. She's going to share that. And again, please, any questions about it, just ask. All right? So, over to you.
Thank you. Lovely. Oh, it's a lovely topic to talk about because it's such a topic for life, for education, and it's a topic not just for inside the church, it's the way of life and for everyone. So it is quite a passionate topic for me to talk about. But as I always do before I do any service, I always sit with my friends in the spirit world and I just ask them any advice or any message that they can give. So earlier today, I thought,
don't do it.
Yeah, what you're doing?
Don't go and work with that, Lawrence. It's a nightmare.
So they just gave me a few words. So shall we start with those first, and then I'll tell you about my journey. But I just always love to let Spirit talk first. Is that all right? Yeah. All right, yay! Let's hear you. Okay, so they said a message from Spirit about mentorships. To study shows commitment, dedication, and a wanting to understand and familiarise oneself with the world of Spirit in all its forms. It is embarking on a journey of the unknown, which is a good place to be each time you show up for class, for it is within the unknown the heart stays open and the mind less easily interferes. Trusting and grace should be your best friends. When a toddler often falls, the trust is always there to get back up and try again. Be like toddler. As for grace, this allows room to be kind and gentle to oneself. The love and beauty of words certainly hold their space in society today, but the greatest mentorship you will receive for yourself is the one you will come to know and live by, and that is the one held in love and trust of the power and spirit within. So I hope that touched your spirit within as it touched mine, because I think ultimately that's the message from all my mentorships as well. Or I've been very fortunate to have some wonderful tutors for my mentorship, and they have all, the biggest message is to remember the spirit within. But they have also helped and guided me in ways that just talk about the ethics of being a medium, because we can all connect as mediums and do demonstrations, but I think it's really helpful to know what should and shouldn't be said on the platform and within readings. So for me, that was a biggie. I wanted to know the right way of doing things. I am a bit of a right way of doing things, so that's why mentorships kind of...
I'll just throw it up in the air and go, what's coming next?
No, so that's why the mentorships, I did them through COVID, because, we couldn't do a lot else, could we? And so my mentorships were on Zoom with two wonderful tutors at the time. But what it brought me as a difference, you may be asking, well, what's the difference between that and a development circle and a workshop? And as we've said, I feel they all have their place, particularly workshops when you've maybe done some mentorships and then it's like a driving test. You pass your test, you're out on your own, you're doing really well, 10 to 12 on the steering wheel, and then a year later you forget about 10 to 12 and all the, I hope there's no driving instructors in here, but you know what I mean, 2 years later little habits creep in, don't they? And sometimes maybe you might cross your arms when you're doing it, maybe not, or one hand, yeah. And I do feel that is the same within the mediumship. You come off, you've done your courses or whatever, so I think workshops are great for keeping you on track, for the tutors to pick up what habits you've picked up, and to carry on learning and developing, because if we don't keep going out to different workshops and think we've got it all on our own, you miss other exercises, other points of view and other perspectives. So I love a workshop. I'm always at a workshop, and but I do find, and I love development circles. I sit in 2 different circles as well, and I've loved my mentorships. I've loved them all. And so tonight is particularly about the mentorships, but I did want to just cover how I personally feel that all the different things work for me. But in the mentorships, what did they offer, you might want to ask? And I think that, number one, in the mentorships, first of all, a bit like a hairdresser, I always think, do I like the way their hair is and how they cut their hair before I choose a tutor? So in the mentorships, it's quite, I would say, important to watch the medium, watch them work first. Is that the type of medium that I want to learn from? Because we're all different, and I know that Spirit love all different, so there's a tutor for everyone. So first of all, we have to think, well, and that's how I chose my 2 tutors. I was blown away by their mediumship, and I was like, I definitely want a bit of that. I definitely want to know what they've done and all the rest of it. And so first of all, that was the first thing I did. I watched them work. I really just wanted to learn from them. So that was the most, that's maybe a point I could give you to help you if you're thinking, well, where do I start? Because there are lots of lovely tutors, and I've still got tutors to come across. So anyway, so that's the first thing that why I chose the ones I did. And then, and money comes into it as well. You know, you've got to go by what your budget is as well. So that's a bit comes into it. And then, as I say, mine were online. But what it did give me is it was a safe environment. And I know workshops and development circles are as well. But these were people I was going to spend the next 12 months with, learning. And I'm sure there's lots of you developing mediums here. And as you know, the more you develop, the sensitivity develops. So that's a big thing to take into consideration. But so for me, I liked it that I was meeting the same people each month. That was in a group mentorship that I did. I'll talk about a one-to-one mentorship, which was had its helps as well. So in the group mentorship, it was great. I was on Zoom, and my tiny little mind that went from Paul, Dorset, went to America, Canada, Italy, Spain, and it was wonderful. And it's wonderful for the mediumship because you suddenly, your mind expands, your body expands, your aura expands, and you think, oh, it's not just people here in Dorset, you know. So that was lovely as well. And it also taught me, you know, we're all different. English, like you say, reserved. Americans are just wonderfully friendly and can't get enough of anything you do. And I've got lots of American friends and all the rest in between and everywhere else. So from that point of view, it's good because it just, you know, taught you different, you know, we're all different in this world, and different's good and different's fine. Yeah. And it helped me accept all different personalities. So my Zoom mentorship brought me that because everyone could come from anywhere in the world. And then it brought a familiarity because I was used to everybody that I was working with. We had to go into exercises each week, and you know, if you don't know somebody very well and you're learning, well, typically as English as well, you feel a bit shy and reserved, don't you? Or I do. And so because I got to know these people each month, they kind of, a bit like family, they became kind of family-like, so I wasn't reserved in going into exercises. And so that really helped as well, because the last thing you can be as a medium is reserved.
It doesn't help, does it?
No, it doesn't.
I'd like to come to you, but I'm not going to.
and each week a rapport was built up. You know, we did workings on ourselves. We did exercises to help connect with the spirit world. We did wonderful meditations, which helped and enhanced our journey that way. And we went into breakout rooms and constantly did work, and I still continue to work on our connections and the evidence we bring through. And the nice thing is with the mentorships as well, in particular, is that we got to watch each other grow each month. And we had homework as well. We met up on Zoom and we had exercises to do that through that. So that was really nice because each of us could see each of us kind of progressing, which is nice because kind of on a workshop, which are wonderful as well, but for me in particular, I kind of get less reserved the more I know someone. So by the time I'm ready to open up, it's time to say goodbye. Yeah. So mentorships were handy for me because you could actually, you know, keep progressing and feeling more and more safer and more ready to delve into yourself a bit more. So and then also I was very fortunate in my mentorship teachers who are just lovely. You could message them. So if I did a practice or I didn't understand something, especially the mechanics or something like that, then I could email them and they would email me back, and then back in the class, they'd make sure they'd give an exercise that was something that I was struggling with, or any of the other students were struggling with. So there was a nice bit of continuity. You never felt on your own. You could, and I think in mediumship, that's really helpful, to not feel on your own, like you say, or to think, is this a silly question? And it's such a shame not to ask that question, because everybody else in the room wants to ask it, and you've got to month 7 and nobody actually knows what sitting in the power is, for example, and we've all been too worried. Not quite like that, but you know what I mean. There's just that nice continuity to ask questions.
Well, there is that about the mediumship. Your mediumship is a lone journey, but you need not be alone.
Absolutely.
And that's a very true. I heard that saying, and I'm like, what you're saying, but after a while I thought, I'm beginning to get this now.
Yeah.
How we develop is up to us as individuals and very unique.
Yeah. But
we don't have to be alone.
And that's lovely.
That's and when we can find those peer support groups, it means the world.
Yeah. Yeah,
I always say, we end up with mother, father, brother, sister, husband, whatever, to so many other people. So there's so many copies of us out there in the world. But when we're on this part of our journey, it's us.
Yes. Yeah.
It's raw us.
It is.
There's nothing there. There's no ego. There's no sense of importance. It's just us on that journey, and it really does make a difference.
Yeah, it does. It does. And also your sensitivity's developing, and for medium's journey is all about the self. So you start seeing things about yourself that I really didn't like. It was things that you might have reacted, and situations like that. It opens all of that up, and like you say, that's a hard journey to do on yourself. So to have somebody, a mentor that you knew you could trust, who dealt with things for you when you were going to beat yourself up for being so, how could I behave like that, or how could that have happened, and she would be like, but that's all you knew back then. You didn't know this now, so that's why this happened. Now, if I hadn't had my mentor and she hadn't picked that bit out, I would have been beating myself up for months thinking how awful I was. So, when your heart starts opening and you start looking at yourself, which is what you have to do, and that's the thing. This is the passion of the medium, who wants to be able to have the spirit world blend close to them. Then you've got to open up warts and all, because it's those blocks that stops the blend. So you do need to have somebody with you that helps you when you're opening up. That happens, and the blend comes closer, so you get a little reward, just a little one. It's subtle, but all those rewards help. So so for me, with the mentorship program, it's great to have somebody there to answer your questions, to guide you, and have the familiarity of the same students. So I'd say that was one of the key points that really helped in the difference between a workshop and development circles, especially closed ones. That's a bit like a mentorship, but there's only just an hour and a half in that, whereas these mentorships were 7 hours a day, once a month or twice a month, or had different types of mentorship programs. So I did have one-to-one mentorship program, which again really did help, because it's like anything in life, isn't it? If you're in a group of people and you're opening up, or you want to ask a question, we're all on different journeys. So what would be good for you and you learning might not really have been helpful for you in that session. So the one-to-ones come into their own then, because you're not comparing yourself with anyone else. You don't feel so judged. You feel just you and your tutor, and that's the opportunity to really get into nitty-gritty area and help sort you out. And so both I would recommend. I did one-to-one first, and then I had the confidence and went into a group.
It sounds like this is, none of us wanted 2020 to happen, but it did. So being what we are, we look for the best in things, don't we? Whenever, it's darkest, we look for the lights and things like that. But it does sound like the advent. Who's familiar with working on Zoom or watching Zoom? See, fair few. Where have you been?
Zoom. You will after tonight.
It is a really powerful tool, and I love what you said there about working with people of different nationalities. I've been doing a lot of that recently, and I've been saying to my team, I want stuff from their country. I want something that's unique to their country that I can bring through that I don't have the knowledge of, and it's beginning to get there. But yeah, you could do this mentorship by Zoom. I mean, to do that in person would be wonderful, but then you are tied to a geographical area or travelling, then involving maybe hotels, and then costs are going up and up and up through the roof. But yeah, the Zoom for this type of training sounds an ideal opportunity.
Yeah, because my tutors were not in this area, so I would not have been able to have the mentorship with them had it not been for Zoom. Yeah. So that was very fortunate.
Yeah, brilliant. Anybody got any questions? Anything they want to ask about or whatever? No, you're no. Oh, great. Right.
Come on, you've got one. I know. How many of you have you done any mentorships? Anyone here? The tutors.
Yeah, I mean, platform, not a platform, but where they offer the
mentorships. Yeah. Okay, so I joined the Spiritualist National Union. So, and there are other forms.
We're all spiritualists. Don't be shy of saying we're all spiritualists.
So I joined that, and for me, I found that really helpful. And so the tutors that I had, one of them is the president of the Arthur Findlay College, and she's an outstanding tutor. Very fortunate to have time-wise had her, because obviously she's a bit busy now being president, but so that's where I watched. They have lots of demonstrations like here. Lots of your mediums here are SNU, aren't they?
Yeah.
And so I saw them. I saw them dem, and I was like, I really want to learn from you, and that's how I found them, through their demonstration really, and then through joining the SNU. They have a whole Zoom online program, lots of services to watch and lessons on the SNUI International, which is great because that's where you get to speak to a lot of people all over the world. Are you part of that?
Not of the SNU, but I've been on Zooms where they speak to people in America, and that is great to give messages when you're describing a location or whatever that you've no idea of the name of the town or whatever, but it just comes out and you think, oh wow.
And so I would always go and watch a medium. You've got lots of opportunity to watch some great mediums here, haven't you?
Thank you.
And I need to come back again now.
Got 5 right.
And then I would go up and speak to them, see what, go by your feeling. What warms you? Do I like the way they're demonstrating? I feel I could learn from them. That's what I did. And I honestly say I couldn't look back. And I had really different tutors as well that came from different perspectives. I like a whole roundedness of different ways of thinking. But actually, all of my tutors, my development circle tutors I've had in the past, anybody I've done a workshop with, I've always watched them first demonstrate. Because why would you not? It's like going to their hairdresser. Would you look at their hair first and how they're kind of dressed from a female? That's awful, but I don't know. You get kind of feel that, oh, okay, my hair's safe under her. So I would recommend watching some mediums do some demonstrations, and then again have a chat with them afterwards, and you know, how open are they, how helpful are they to you, and does their energy match yours, or their personality work for you? Because it is a really personal thing, and I would say, you know, you want to feel safe asking questions, because you're opening up about yourself. And if you really want to get your mediumship skills and your mediumship connection with spirit world, there's no other way to open up all about yourself. That's what they taught me, and that's what we did each month. So it was but I would so recommend it. It's not easy. It's not easy about working on yourself, being criticised, if you like, but in a good way. But if they don't pick out things, then how are you going to learn? But you still feel a little bit hurt, like, oh, tried my hardest, but like a baby, be like a toddler, trust. Yeah.
Talking about working on yourself, have you become aware that there's more of this talk about working on yourself and clearing out the clag, if you like, to be a clearer channel in more recent years than many years ago?
That's a really good question.
I used to notice a lot of observant people on platform felt they hadn't worked on themselves.
And I agree. I think, that's much more of a recent thing I've come across, and it's come out in my mentorships, because you haven't just walked away at the end of the day, or you know, you could go back at the next month, and they know, because they're the ones that they've had to work on themselves. So yeah, I do think that's interesting, because you don't, from the development circles I sat in years ago, I don't know, we didn't really have time to work on ourselves on that. That was more, you know, working with the spirit contact and sitting in the power. But of course it isn't just that. So yeah, I think it is a more recent thing. But the mentorship program and things that I've done with the SNU have certainly showed me it's about the life of the medium, really. The medium is your journey, you.
You mentioned when we were talking earlier about another one of your tutors would talk about like Sophism and things like that.
Yeah. Oh.
Which, you know, is something we keep saying and pushing here at Paul Church. Yeah. It's not all about the message.
No.
And it's not all about the mechanics of being able to get up and do a message. You might do a passable job, but it's a bit like...
It will be a passable job. That's all it is. If you don't work in.
It's a bit like a recipe.
Yeah.
A bit like a recipe, you know. And if you use marge and a bit of best value bread, yeah, you've got a sandwich.
Yeah.
Not really nice, is it? Could be better. But if you got butter and homemade bread, why am I going down this route? I have no idea.
Because it's every bit of it. It's every bit.
And it's suddenly, because you're getting that roundedness.
Yeah.
You know, we all work, or have worked, during our time. And we've all gone in and taken a job. I'm sorry, I'm scared the cat. We've all taken a job on, which on the surface sounds easy. You do this, you do that, you do this. But when you actually come to do the job, you think, oh, well, I need to know this to be able to do that first step. I need to be able to, you know, so you build up that like knowledge base. And this sounds one of the real benefits in good quality mentorship, that you are getting, you know, expose yourself to other religions, expose yourself to other beliefs. You know, go to other churches, not now, but not right now, later. Go to other churches. Find out, you know, we've now got the world in the palm of our hand. We've never had this much access to information. And so, yeah, use that. Look up things, hear a word and think, what's that mean? I'm always doing that. I've not got bad diction, but sometimes a word will come up and I go, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I get that. But it is, isn't it?
Because it is. It opens up. I think it's about your way of life then. It opens up how you react to people and situations. I think you become more compassionate or empathetic, and I don't know, you just have, I think you're more accepting of religions when you start looking at everybody's religion. And that's what you want to be, and that's what Spirit World want you to be. They don't just want you to be you in Paul Dorset with your one religion. They want to be you with the God self, knowing the whole world and knowing that the whole world is inside you, the whole world is with you, the Spirit World are with you, and it's all really about love. And that's what all the different areas of the religion and all of one side of my mentorship has really, really helped me with. Not just connecting and getting contact from the Spirit World, but understanding that where the Spirit World is, where your passion lives, where your love and your light is, and then that helps you react and how you want to just, you want to be a good person. You realise, you know, our main job here is to be good and to love everyone for who they are, not to change anyone. Because if everyone was good and understood who you truly are, which is, no one is on a pedestal, no one is better than another, we are all the same, we have all the same love and light, and have all come from the same place, therefore we can all swim with the ocean. In other words, we're not separate, we are together. And I think in my mediumship journey and my mentorship program, that's taught me that. We're all together. There's room for every single person to do what they've come here to do. There's room for us all to be mediums, all to be healers, all to be good. But it has to come from within. And sometimes life has given us labels and taken us to pathways that have separated us from who we truly are. And this is why evenings like this they just are my passion. Because not only do you want to just say, of course your loved ones live on, and here's your message, and here's your evidence. You live on, they live on, and we're all living in the same place. And so when you know that, you only want to be good. It's really, it's so simple really, but the trouble is sometimes life has given us difficulties and it's put barriers up to ourselves, and it's made us forget that we are part of the spirit world now, and that's why we can communicate. The only reason why sometimes we have trouble communicating is our own belief system. What do US call it? BS. Is that allowed in here? It's all of the programming. It's all the stuff that we were told that we're not, you know. Sometimes it kind of, you know, it can start from school. You have to kind of relearn things. Because, you know, our school teaches us you have to be the best in the class. You have to, you know, how well are you doing in the exams? And if you're first, second, third. But life is not really about that. Being a spiritualist and spiritualism isn't about that. It's actually, we're all equal and we're all the same.
It's what you can do for each other.
It is.
Without reward, you know. I'll do this for you, but you give me a fiver. Or I'll do this for you if you do that for me. It's just doing it.
It's just doing it.
It's just doing it.
And it's just accepting that we all have a place here to and come to do what we would like to do, and other people do choose one subject and other people choose something else, but that's okay. You
hit on something interesting there that I see time and time again getting overlooked, that especially with our evidential mediums and our healing mediums, you know, you're here to develop as well shock horror, You know, you haven't just got the golden key, you know, oh, I can deliver a message, that's it. Ta-da!
Yeah,
I'm there.
stop.
You know, we are spirit here on a journey. And yeah, we go through stuff.
We do.
We have stuff.
And stuff.
And more stuff. And yeah, you know, it's practice what you preach time, isn't it? It really is. It really is. And as I say, it's sad sometimes. I see it with various forms of mediums. They seem to get to a point and go, that's it, I've arrived. Hooray! And you think, really? Okay. Have fun with that thinking.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I think the day you stop, or the day you think you've arrived, is the day you stop developing. And Spirit World don't want that. Because they want to just see you develop and more. And then what happens is we go out and meet someone and then you start developing and more. And I loved my tutors. She'd always say things like, do you know, don't stop at what I've said. Be your own investigator. Keep going. I want you to teach me one day. And I thought, oh, what a beautiful tutor. None of this, or if you get to that level, you know, that's, you know, you just got to stay under me. She would just say, mostly at the end of every month, don't take my word for it, be your own investigator, and I want to see you teaching me one day. It was beautiful to finish like that, you know.
That is good. That is good, because there's we don't see enough of that within the movement.
Yeah.
We seriously don't.
Yeah.
Which is a shame.
Yeah.
But never mind.
But another thing, just to say, is when the mediums come here and they're talking their philosophy, and I always try to say this at the start of my philosophy, or the address, you know, when you the address, that there is a message for everybody in that address. Yeah. And sometimes people don't understand that, and they're waiting for their message from Aunt Susie or whoever you've come to wait. And I know I've been there, and I've like, oh, please just hurry up with the philosophy. I just want to get to the demonstration. I just want to hear from blah, 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 blah. But actually, in the philosophy, there is always a message for you, because the spirit world are far more intelligent than any of us here. And when the medium is doing their philosophy, the spirit world know everyone that has come to that service today, and they will know the words that really reach your heart. The problem is, are you listening at that stage? Have you actually missed your ultimate message that day? It's always in the philosophy. That's why the philosophy is such an important part of the service, because the philosophy has the ability to touch every single person in the room. And it's always to help, support and lighten. It's not a negative thing. And then the message at the end is just the evidence speaking from about what the philosophy's talked about. You know, how we can give evidence from your loved ones. But you can do that as well. That's always what I always always say. It's not just that we've all got the same inside. We've all come from that same love and light inside. You've just got to believe it. You've got to start taking off some of the lessons or things that you've learnt in your life that stop you from believing it. That's what it's about, and that's what the life of the medium is about. Is you've got to strip everything that you've been told or led to believe about yourself, or led to believe about the world. Mostly it's this separation thing.
Yeah.
Disconnect. And as soon as you understand that, and you want to connect with yourself, and as soon as you properly connect with yourself, you connect with everyone here living, and everyone living in the spirit world, without worrying about their bodies. It's great. Don't have to wear clothes, don't have to worry about the body.
Don't have to diet.
Don't have to diet.
Don't have to exercise.
Oh,
You can even have a fag if you want one.
you can. Like to see one have a fag, but
I'll
that's what it's about.
Yeah.
Did you have a
I was
question?
going to ask, going back to these being in circle and this, and have you found that in some circles, that in itself is a form of mentorship in a kind of exchange
Yes.
of energy, and also seeing where people reveal their vulnerabilities because they're a bit afraid to open their mouth and give a message, or something's come through and they don't want to speak it. And have you also felt that it helps you be more in touch with humanity in a less judgment way, because it goes back to the non-separation, doesn't it? Which
Always.
that's great to listen to that story. Need to hear more of that.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, I do agree. I think a good development circle, particularly the closed ones, that feels awful, because I don't want to separate people out, because I think you want a really good open circle, so people can dip in and out, and they're not ready maybe for that commitment, and we're not anyone to judge. We're just grateful that they've come along to that open circle. So that has a place, and then from the open circle into they call it a closed circle just because it has a group of the same familiarity. It becomes a bit like a mentorship, absolutely. And I have, have friends who've been in circles for years. I was in development circles for years. I still am in a smaller development circle now. But the only problem I've noticed is that in the closed development circles, a lot of the people don't actually last a year. You know? They have a good 6 months and think that's it. And that's such a shame.
That is one of the modern day malaises of our movement, is the dedication.
Dedication, it's what they said in the Spirit gave you at the start, that, isn't it?
I always say, it's like anything. If you put, that'll do, that's what it's going to be. But if you think, right, I'm really going to get to grips with this and really going to put some effort in, you're going to unfold all those richness and everything. Sadly, our movement's been undersold over the last 30 years.
Yeah.
And I make no bones about this. A lot of the responsibility for that, in my opinion, rests on the churches and centres where they have 2 dems of mediumship a week. So at the beginning of each year, they're looking for 50 mediums. They're looking for 50 people to fill those slots. And that's where I think is part of where we've seen the decline in standards of mediumship. And also, the lack of teaching about psychism. I love my psychic work.
Yes.
I have hours of fun with my psychic work. You've all been warned. That is great fun. And it's really interesting. But I know the difference between when I'm working psychically and when I'm working mediumistically.
Yes, and that again came out in the mentorships as part of that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's events like this where we can actually start talking about things, because this was lacking pre-2020. This sort of conversation would be limited to going up to the college or maybe a good, healthy, closed circle somewhere. But apart from that, it just never happened. But I'm pleased to see that more and more places, even with the few that are here tonight, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, because you're meant to be here, you're meant to listen to this, and you're meant to take this on. Yes, darling.
Just a question. Do you see a difference between actually being in a physical circle and being online with frequencies and energies?
It's a very good question. Love that question.
Over to you.
Well, I have to say yes and no. Because at the end of the day, when we're working with our mediumship, we're having our connection with the spirit world, which is right here anyway, with us. So regardless if we're sat in the same room or behind a screen, it's still working, it's still happening. So from that perspective, I don't see a difference. But from another perspective, so we're all here tonight in this room, well, that's lovely, because that's just I can feel all of your energy in this room, and it's a nice feeling. And at the end of the day, you're in arms touching distance, not saying that we're all going to touch each other, but there's exercises and things that you can do that we've done in development circles that you can't do on Zoom. And going into breakout rooms in Zoom is brilliant. It's great. You still get to exercise. However, you're not in the room. And then from a teaching point, it's hard. Yes, I still go into the different rooms and see a little snippet of the exercise the students are doing, or when I was in on the mentorships, saying the tutors would come in and see us. But it's not the same as being in the same room and you two are working. But actually, I've just noticed over there the gentleman's having a weep. There's something going on there. That's hard because in Zoom, there's no red light going off saying there's something. There is a call button, but it's not quite the same. So from that perspective, it's different. But they both have pluses and minuses, because in here, how many Italians, Americans, Spanish, Russians have we got in the room? Whereas if I was sat in a Zoom class this evening, there would be, the classes I sit in, that half of them are American, Spanish, Italian. There's a whole mixture. So
how do you know what class? You know what you said a minute ago to when you go and watch a medium.
Yeah.
And think, oh, that sounds great.
Yes.
When it comes to closed circles,
Yes.
Closed circles, you don't get to see that. And I've been in a few.
Yeah.
I thought, oh, that sounds great. You start in it, and within a few weeks, it's turned into a mother's meeting. Everyone's like, oh, I've got to do this weekend. And you're sitting there going, for Christ's sake, it's not what I'm coming for.
Yeah.
So what's that telling you?
Get the hell out.
Get the hell out. So get the hell out, move on and get into a decent one.
It's trying to find them.
Oh, bless you. Really, that breaks my heart. Because there really are good ones. There really, really are good ones around. So come up at the end and, we all know those. But
you will. You'll know more than me. You're more active.
do come up and chat, because that breaks my heart. And it, and if you're in a circle and that's happening, or if they're, not being, that's what I loved about the mentorships as well. They're very professional. There's no in-house bitching, anything that goes on like that. We just say, thank you, this one isn't for me, because I don't need that. I've got that at work. No, but you know what I mean? This one isn't, because it isn't. And do you know what? Oh, that breaks. Because, do you know, that's not spirit. Anything that has a negative, a bitchiness, then they're not coming from the place that we all have inside us. So I only want a teacher that comes from this place. And I want a teacher that would say, I'm going to I would recommend Lawrence, I would recommend this person. That's the teacher you want. You don't want someone that says, well, it's only me. Then I'm going to walk away. Because if that's the way they're thinking, then that's not from spirit. Because true spiritualists and spiritual people will recommend all the people they know that are good mediums and good people, because they want you to know, because we're all swimming in that glow of the true place, really and truly. So that's a great telltale from the start. Is this person behaving? That's why I always think, you want to watch them then. Because you can have a teacher that will say, I get this. Okay, that's great. I'm so pleased you do. Just going to watch you, make sure that's, and if that's not happening, that might not be the one for you. But there are an awful lot of amazing teachers, tutors. A lot of mine, because I joined SNU, are from the SNU, and I know I'm safe there. It's all taught in a very similar way, and everybody should be coming from this place of love. And there are also other places to learn from. You always have good people here, good mediums here. You know what you're looking for, and you know what Lawrence is like, and Lawrence is going to attract those people. But
I always say, when you have experiences like this, don't forget, if you go dig deep on that, you're saying to Spirit, I want to learn. And you go into these circles, and do you know what? You learn something.
Yeah, you do.
You know, I always say to people, if it's not come wrapped up in bows and with puppies, doesn't mean it's not a lesson. It seriously doesn't, you know. And
Absolutely.
I've
It
gone.
brings that dark and light side, doesn't it? So
Well,
you've got to experience the dark to appreciate the light.
You're learning what you don't accept for your mediumship, which is a brilliant.
Yeah, it's great.
That is a great
is.
lesson to learn. You know, because our mediumship is that opportunity to explore our vulnerability. But to do that, we've got to be in an environment where we know that we're not going to be ridiculed, have derision, be abused, or whatever. So you're learning sort of like upside down, in a way. You're learning what is not good enough for your mediumship. So yeah, great, go into a circle, and if it is like that, oh, right, that's fine, that's another one off the bloody list. But you'll start to see patterns and archetypes with the people who run these. The downside of the explosion onto social media is there's some people out there who seriously need some sort of sedation rather than going online, quite frankly. Oops, he says going online, hi. But yeah, there, you know, and it's like anything as well. When the cash signs come in, suddenly, you know, I'm your next best messiah, and if you stay in my circle, you will be, you know, I've heard some of these spiels, and I'm like, really? But you will start to develop that intuition, because your intuition is inspiration from the spirit world.
I think sometimes it's your head overrules your intuition as well, because sometimes you think, oh, I know, but I really should, you know, maybe I'll just try it one time, but your gut's actually going,
Yeah.
And it's also part of your self-development, because I've sat way too long in circles just because I was like, didn't want to offend them, thinking, please don't be talking about this, please, you know, and you know, do you know what I mean? Yeah, just to not offend. But then you've got to wake up and say, hang on, you've got to remember, you've got to look after you, because you are the spirit inside just as much as the next person's the spirit inside. So, you know, you've got to take responsibility. And that's hard sometimes, isn't it? It's easier doing it for good things, but when you have to take responsibility to remove yourself from a group because you don't like what they're saying, it's a bit harder.
It's taken a long time to get the hang of that, but the
Yeah.
one thing that somebody said to me a while ago, it was a while ago now, and it really resonates to me every time I listen to that now, is if you were on an aeroplane and it was going down, would you run around the aeroplane putting everyone's oxygen masks on, or would you just sit there and put your own on before you help other people? And I think, you've got to get your own on first, haven't you?
Because you're not going to develop. You won't develop because you're just sitting there in anxiety, really, aren't you? And so, therefore, your money that you've earned, your time that you've put aside for yourself, is not repaying you anything. And so, it's also Spirit's way of saying, go and find someone
Rule
that's
of
going to
thumb,
bring
really,
you
if it doesn't feel right, probably isn't. Seriously. Sue?
Just adding on to that, if that's all right.
Yes.
Over the years, I've been to many different open groups and circles and closed circles and stuff, and workshops, and sometimes I've thought, in the earlier days, what on earth am I doing here? And then I realised later, with hindsight, I went there and I learned nothing what I thought I was going to learn about, but what I could do, what I could see were the different dynamics, the energies, the darts across the room, the egos, and you realise that, my God, that's what I actually went to learn. And even years later, things come back, and I think, I was shown that all that time ago when I thought I'd wasted my money, for instance.
Yeah.
So it's like nothing's ever wasted,
No,
is it?
it's not.
Even if you don't know quite what it's about at the time.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Yeah, absolutely. And it does. It's surprising that penny drops. Years later, you think, well, actually, if I hadn't witnessed that or done that, I wouldn't know. Yeah.
It's like people, when
Very
you say
true.
online, you drop in and think, oh my God, they're all talking about raillessness. Exit stage left.
Or worse still, they're talking about the one that isn't there that night, and you think, I'm not going to be here next week.
Yeah.
What are they going to be talking about?
We've been in different groups and different circles and stuff, and on Zoom as well. I've learned a lot from different people, but the ones that I remember and the ones that are around now that are still going to circles and workshops and things, they graft and they share their mediumship, they share their experience because they want to share, they want to give, and you know that they've come from a deep place from within that got them there, whether they could see spirit from birth or it materialised later. Have you found that as well, that you know that they work hard and they really want to give? And Sonia and I sit in a circle online and I just felt it really grafts, doesn't she? And so does, you know, some of the other people. It's not exclusive to that particular person, but
absolutely, because
me to keep going,
you're
you just
becoming.
think, I'm going to be going on workshops and that probably till the end of my days, because
absolutely,
part of learning and sharing the experience as well.
Absolutely, that's what I say. It goes back to my tutor will say, I want to see you teaching me one day. Is that because they you genuinely do. You have this. You know, it's like there's 3 lanes on the motorway, and some people are 1, 2, and 3, and when you realise you're in that place of complete trust, knowing who you are, wanting everyone else to know that because it's such a good place, that's how Spirit want you to work. Spirit don't just want a few of you knowing how everything works. They want everybody knowing, because I truly believe that we're here to raise the frequency, and they want everybody going on the lane 3. There's no secrets, that they want everyone coming from the same place. And so only to, the tutors I've had, they have given them more. Everything. They've never hidden anything. And likewise, I will do the same. There's nothing I want to go, well, I'm just going to teach them 8 out of 10 things I know, because just in case they're not. No way, you just want to give it your all, and that's the teachers. I
think it brings out the human side as well, and knowing that they've also had their own struggles, but now they don't have to just talk about their life. You just know that they're good at what they do because of the experiences that they've had. That's brought that out, and it's brought forward a different understanding, maybe less judgmental, and more of the understanding of the connectedness.
That's what always goes back to that understanding of connectedness, and and they've had to work through difficulties, but that is the life of the medium. You can't keep anything in the cupboard, because anything you've got in your cupboards, that's like a block for Spirit. They've got to get through the cupboard to you. You don't want that. You want them straight on here, and you have to provide that space. There's no other way around it. In life, there's so many places where you can mask, isn't there? You can go to work and be a completely different person, and come home and be a completely different person. But when you're working with the spirit world, there's no different people. You can't do that.
Yeah, I know. I've tried.
You can't.
It doesn't work. Trust me.
Don't they? You think, well, have a little paddy and stamp your feet, and you think, oh, they're still here. Find them off yet.
But not saying that I never do anything wrong, because I do. But the difference now in all this awareness, self-awareness, groups and mentorship, is that I like to think that I would think back and go, oh, that wasn't right. I'm aware of the awareness of it, whereas before I wasn't aware of it, and I would be. And also, you'd be like, or...
How's it go?
Depends how bad it is, but sometimes it's nicer to be kind than right, and that's another thing that happens when you on this spiritual journey.
That is so true, though, about you discover yourself, and you walk away from a situation. In the beginning, you're sort of like, didn't feel right, and I'm not quite sure why, but then as you continue with your development, you walk away and thinking, yeah, shouldn't have said that. Yeah. Okay, am I going to put that one right?
Yeah. But at least you're kind of aware of it now. Whereas, sometimes there was a time when I wasn't aware of it. And that's all you can do. And then you can't spend the next months beating yourself up because, I've just done all this spiritual course and I know all of this now, and then I still lost my rag. Okay, you did. It didn't. It's not ideal. or whatever it is that's happened in the situation, but you're aware of it and you're willing to put it right, and you don't want that to happen.
That reminds you of being human, doesn't it? And
Yeah.
it also helps keep you humble and your feet on the ground.
Yeah,
Because you're human.
yeah, that's the problem. We are human, see. I'd love to be more spiritual. Well, we are. I'd love to forget about the body, but we won't get away with it in this room.
The experience of being human, isn't it? And the experience of being in the role of medium.
Yeah, but it's we are spiritual beings having this human experience. However, a human experience is not an excuse for our behaviour, because it's we are still spirit, and awareness.
That was my last
is
excuse.
Yeah,
Blown
that's
that
it.
out of the water.
Sorry.
I think you have to lose your rag or get angry sometimes, though, because otherwise you suppress those feelings.
Yeah.
And then you're not in touch with your true emotions, because you're it's a facade then, because you're not being who you really are.
But who are you really?
Well, maybe you are an angry person. You've got to get that out.
So the angry person is the body, or the veil, which I call it. You know, we're separated by a veil. So the angriness and the body is the veil.
Yeah.
And from my perspective of where I am on my journey, ask me in a year's time, would have done another mentorship, another course, I might tell you something different, or sat with spirit longer, whatever. But at this moment in time, my awareness is the veil is our body, and anger is a brick, a cupboard around my body, and we're just trying to get all that off. And the true awareness is God. Well, like, you know, Jesus, Buddha, Gandhi, all these people that were aware of this, Mother Teresa. But they worked to get to where they are, their true self. But you know, Jesus always said, you know, it isn't me, my Father works through me, doesn't he? You know, that's meaning my Father works through me is the God realization, the God self, which is another word for divine, love, goodness, peace. They're all the same words. Whereas in Buddhism, they're not even interested in the mediumship, because you know, and they're ridding of oneself of all the impurities and and mediumship's a byproduct to them. I'm like, oh, I'll have that one. You know, that's their byproduct. They're not interested really in that. They're interested in going straight to, is it called Nevada or whatever it's called, the Zen Den, whatever. You know, but mediumship takes place because they have rid themselves of the veils, and that's what we're trying to do as a medium, and I believe we should do as a person. Just some of us are not aware of that. Some of us think we've literally come here to be a bank manager. From a spiritualist point of view, I believe we've come here to be spiritual, to be love, to be God, to be nothing but that. But obviously it's a hard job because we're human and we've had conditioning and life throws us curveballs, and just when we think, oh, you know, I'm in this peaceful Zen thing, some member of the family does something and you think, no, I'm not, I've just lost it, no, I've got to work on that bit, and da-da-da-da-da. And there's, you know, I believe that's our job to be here, is to realise the God within, which is the light source, the love, the divinity that we all are.
You say there about, you know, maybe they're just angry people. But again, when we're on this self-development course, we start, why am I angry? Why do these, you know, I'm going through, just been through a phase, why does a certain type of person trigger me?
Yeah.
Why every damn time I have that, you know, energy signature there, the chin comes forward and I'm ready. And I've worked it through, and now I understand where it's come from. I'm so happy because I can see these people now coming towards me. I'm going, yeah, bring it on. I don't care. Fabulous.
One of the words that gets bounced around, what you were talking about, from my understanding, is called the shadow self, isn't it? So when you hear people saying there's the shadow self, that's what they're talking about. That it's that, what they call it.
Why do I react like that?
Why
do I react like that? Because they diss me, and Are they part of your life? Do they wake up in your head? Do they manage your fun? No, they don't. So do you know what they think about me? I don't care. And letting that go. But again, it's this, and it's hard. It's hard. Yes,
it's a lifetime of traumas, I think.
Yes,
build up as
absolutely.
Well. Think, was anyone really born evil? I don't believe they were.
No, they were born of God, weren't they? The lights out.
Happened along that way.
Think of a tiny little baby. I mean, when has that ever done anything evil? A tiny little baby. It hasn't, has it? But it's just the conditioning and the circumstances they're born in, and we can get into a whole other conversation now about, well, did we choose those parents? Did we choose these conditions to work on? Because last life I was already whatever an enlightened soul. It was easy life, but next time I'm coming back, if that's what people believe, it's a whole other evening. You know, have I put myself in this difficult position? Have I put myself in this world where there's poverty, where there's wars breaking out? Because it's hard. From understanding things from the human self is too hard, especially with the tragedies in the world, isn't it? But we don't know everything. We don't know from a human perspective what's really happening. That's why I say the spirit world are the intelligent people. Goes back to the philosophy and the messages, which is why they know what everybody needs to hear that evening.
We all have that ability within us to be good and evil. Every day, every time we talk to somebody. Hi Sarah, how are you? God, you're not put on weight. Wow, what do you... You know what I mean? We all have that ability. But it's getting that self-awareness, part of that routine in us, makes us understand what makes us feel good, and actually we want to share that, and we wouldn't think of saying anything like that.
Yeah,
so it's that erosion of the negativity that we have.
And one thing I haven't spoken about too much is...
Did you have a
sorry,
question?
did you have a question?
No, not you. No? Stop scratching your ear then. I keep thinking you're answering a question.
It's the meditation. And that helps you in that, because in meditation you have the chance to work on yourself, but you also have the chance to talk with spirit, to bring them closer, and I call them spirit friends. And actually it reminded me, because one of the things that my spirit friends told me when we're talking about this good and evil, and they kind of put it from this perspective, well actually what it is how close is that person to God, and how far away are they? How far they're away, as in, and when I'm saying God, I'm not meaning the Christian God, I'm meaning love. So if you prefer me to say that, use whatever word in your head, because words can be a block. As I could say God and you're all switched off because you're thinking, I'm remembering God from school, Christian. So if I said love or light or divine, whatever, but they said, when you get into bed at night, ask. They put a little measuring stick, because I used to love Mary Poppins, you know, that measuring stick. They put that in my meditation mind, and they said, just when you get into bed, ask how close were you to God today, in all your situations. And another one that they helped me with, and this is in the awareness of your behaviour, and it's usually reactions, is how would God deal with this? What would love say to this? That's where the thing of sometimes it's nicer to be kinder than right. What would love say really, or what would God say really? That's kind of. But this has all come about. This isn't. This has come about through self-development, through meditation, through sitting with spirits, through sitting in the power, which is a different form of meditation. That's sitting purely to charge up your energy so that the spirit world can use that to come in and blend in. And this has all come about through training, through going to workshops, through going to mentorships, through sitting in development circles, sitting with spirit. Learning. It's all come about. It's always an ongoing learning process. And I guess it comes back to how much passion inside have you to want that. Sorry.
I was just going to say, going back to the mentorship as well, and it's all connected with this meditation, have you also been encouraged where it's going inside to find that absolutely still core centre, so chaos around you can have.
Yes.
But you also start to recognise when buttons are being pressed, and then you have a choice of reaction or not. And gradually, Laurie was saying
Less
before, I
buttons.
don't care. It reaches that sort of point where I can understand that now. I don't actually have to go off in the mode that I might have done to sort of explode or maybe want to punch somebody.
Yeah,
You
no,
know, it's that
absolutely. I think
that's
your
very
awareness
important as well
grows
with
of the.
mentorship, isn't it? Having that absolute stillness.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
just let it go on.
does absolutely, and I think it just doesn't come from one compartment.
Yeah.
It just comes from, and this, I think some of the best learning I've had is lectures or sitting in discussions, and I just think I wish there was more of that. Literally, this can bring these little discussions in the evenings. This is what they used to do back in the day, didn't they? When there's no television and things,
Yeah.
they would have all come round and sit together and discuss things.
Mediums used to sit together in circle, unlike today where they all tend to be running around throwing the arrows everywhere.
Yeah.
Anyway, darling, that
Have I finished it? Have we
Yeah.
reached? Oh, we just started.
Carry
You
on.
see, that's the difference between a mentorship when I come back next month
yeah.
and a workshop. No.
Brilliant. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah. Well done. Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you.
Our next Wednesday we have a demonstration of mediumship, and that is with the lovely me, because I am. What did you say? Get out. I won't let you in.
It's Edward's corner.
I've let my development fall behind, so I'm getting back on the horse again and
Yay.
pushing that. Sunday we have a wonderful day. We have our service from 10 to 11:30 in the morning, and we have Stephen Trolland, Susan Brothwood-Hughes, Anne-Marie Hogan, Mark Stone, and that will be chaired by Elaine Bevan. And then from 12 o'clock we've got our rally day, where each of those mentioned mediums will be taking discussions like we've had tonight, with the opportunity for Q&As, little break in between each one to shift about and do whatever you need to do. 4:30, Mark will be giving a trance address. Now, for trance energy, we do need to shut the doors for that. We can't have people wandering in and out and making a racket, because people can't enter a church quietly anymore without saying, "I've taken so long to get here." Face bothered. But between 4:30 and 5:30 there'll be a trance address from Mark, and believe you me, Mark's trance is sublime, it's beautiful. And then in the evening, as a separate event, which is a paid for event, we have a demonstration of mediumship with Stephen Trolland, who's coming down from Scotland just to be here this weekend. Susan Brothwood-Hughes, who's coming over from Ireland just to be here this weekend. Mark Stone and Anne-Marie Hogan. So, yeah, a really good day.
What a team. You all come in?
Yeah.
I love the rally day. I seriously do. It's such a good day. It's an all day, but it's going to be a damn long day this year. But oh well.
Well done.
Nobody died. Well, somebody did. Otherwise, we wouldn't get a message. But it'll be good. It'll be good. Thank you all for coming tonight. It's not about quantity, it's about quality and the interaction of learning. And yeah, well done, all of you. Thank you. Nice to see you all.
Thank you. And the cat settled.
And the cat settled. Well, that's it. Did you notice when the police helicopter got over, Sue went out and hid in the kitchen? Did you? I noticed that.
Of course.
Thank you for your lovely questions.
Wonderful. I feel as if, I really understand where you're coming from. It's absolutely brilliant. And it's like, that's
That's what the message has got to keep. It's not about more now, isn't it? And I think so passionate about that.